In the last few days, we've had some comments made by developers. We've seen the news, we've seen the discourse shift. Xbox is now basically the talk of the town once again, but in both a positive and negative light. They've added so much more value to Game Pass this year, and I think this whole conversation is just really strange for anybody who wants to pretend like they don't see it. Because that's what it's been all this while. There's just been pretense. Even at the showcase. Do y'all remember that even with the showcase, there were people who were still saying that, oh, well, it's all trailers. We haven't yet seen these games. So until we see these games, we're going to believe that they're coming to Xbox. Now, the subject matter at hand is here today to talk about a narrative which made its way across, many aspects of the gaming conversation to talk about Xbox being in a position where developers were skipping the platform because it just wasn't worth it, according to these devs. The juice wasn't worth the squeeze. These developers were basically in a position where it's like, we can just skip the Xbox ecosystem. You know what was crazy, ladies and gentlemen, about all of that was the way it was painted in the media was just a flat out lie. What was going on was PlayStation had some level of a hand in it, making third-party deals. There were also some developers who were voicing their constraints about the Series S because they forgot that they've made games for less powerful consoles in the past. Yes, I know, right? Isn't it crazy that somehow a developer who was able to squeeze magnanimous, amazing kinds of games into the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, all of a sudden, when they were given a new console, kind of just lost their minds. They just kind of forgot how to do it. When you dug deep, you find out that it was a resource issue or maybe a skill issue or whatever it is. There was even the survey that Microsoft actually put out where they were asking developers and saying, hey, man, would like to know why some of you are not working with us Xbox and what we can do to make you developers have a wonderful time. This was then translated from, the whole talking points and the talking heads that, well, Xbox is trying to stop these, people from skipping them on their platforms. But now we're seeing developers like those with Clair Obscur, Expedition 33 say Xbox was a factor in our success. We're seeing developers from Power World say, man, it's absolutely worth it to have your game, on this platform and work with, Game Pass. And so what's happened is that narrative has basically carefully and tactfully disappeared. It's gone away. I don't know if you guys noticed. Did you guys notice that narrative has gone away? Oh, you didn't notice? I'm sure it's the sound. You can't hear the noise over the sound of all of these luscious games that you're subscribing on Game Pass for. You Xbox gamers are so spoiled. Come on. Anyways, let's get into this whole matter and let's talk about how this narrative, anybody who may have paid attention at the time, was in despair. Did I invest into this ecosystem that's not providing anything? Or what have I done? And now, Kurt the Gamer, shout out to you. You said, well. What's the non-gamers going to say now? This is then a quote that was actually put here by the developers from Expedition 33's developers, from IGN via the games business, where the Clair Obscur developer said that the Oblivion's release the same week actually helped sales. What's been going on with the Game Pass proposition, and when you look at it, is this is the materialization of everything that was kind of supposed to, kind of come together at some point. Xbox was trying to create a hub that would serve the purpose of giving and bringing software to gamers. As they were creating and making this hub, it was recognizable that this was what they were trying to do. But at the same time, one thing that was a big hindrance was they didn't have the big name games to throw in there. This was just a reality. In fact, if you look at Xbox Game Studios at the time, the output of their games were more akin to what you would maybe say, I don't know, Focus Interactive. That was Xbox at one time. They really did look like, Focus Interactive across the board. So, if you think about what maybe their studios may be making, this is why people usually would say things like, well, these games are just not appealing to us, blah, 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 even though those games, they finally went ahead and jumped on with pre-orders. But, the industry kind of liked the big noise, yabba dabba doo, and all that stuff. That's just a perception thing. And PlayStation played that game very well. In fact, PlayStation is still in that business in a sense, but that business has gotten so expensive and out of hand. So the games industry kind of flipped. The economy flipped. And then at the same time as Xbox was targeting, how to basically bring this kind of content, it had the opportunity to be able to go ahead and acquire Activision. Now, after acquiring Activision, Xbox saw this as, or while they were trying to, acquire Activision, Xbox saw this PlayStation saw this as a threat, and then the Bethesda piece of it, which was kind of almost low key, now starts to materialize after it's all said and done. And what you have, ladies and gentlemen, is this publisher that has multiple publishers sitting within it that no one can ignore anymore, because so-called these developers skipping Xbox is no longer a conversation. Why? Because if you leave Xbox, they're just going to run and take all the fans and all the gamers. They'll take them from you on PlayStation. They'll take them from you on Steam. They'll take them from you on Xbox. So what's going on here? Everyone sees that Xbox's own paradigm is working with their ecosystem, and now they want to get in. Sarah Bond decided to say, we got 1,000 partners, over 1,000 partners that are wanting to work with us. And so the narrative crumbled, and everybody is now jumping all over the place, and all they're worried about now is just the semantics. Well, the Game Pass really helped this game. I mean, the game was a good game. Well, how many of these people saying that Expedition 33 was a good game, right? The one question that we haven't asked them is, did you play the game? Right? Did you play the game? And why would you have played the game? What was the first thing that really did come to mind about this game? You heard about it at the Xbox Showcase, and you heard that it was coming to Game Pass. The fact that games like these are coming to Game Pass is putting many of them on the map. Because now everybody is looking, is it coming on Game Pass? You see, back in the day when PlayStation was basically holding down third-party exclusivity, what people were looking for was, oh man, we hope it's not a PlayStation exclusive. Now, everyone is looking and saying, is it going to be on Game Pass? Is it going to be on Game Pass? That's now the direction the industry is looking. So Game Pass is now this platform that is very popular at the end of the day, based on what it is that it's able to bring to the table. And so now the narrative has shifted, the narrative has changed, and it's now clear and it's obvious that a lot of these people were just clearly fudging and clearly misrepresenting what the gaming industry was. You see, the PR side of things has been very important overall for Xbox. And, it was kind of a shame that they never could take advantage of it, because, it seemed like everything was weighing against them. Even when they tried to get Activision, man, you should have seen the entire media industrial complex, the games media industrial complex, pretty much move against them. Oh, they were going to be a monopoly. Oh, they were going to consolidate the industry. Oh, this is bad for gaming. And then when they acquired it, they all were like, well, they're still third place. They suck. And it hasn't panned out to be anything for them. You see the way they kind of switched it up, right? They were so certain that the Activision acquisition was going to make Xbox this, anti-competitive platform. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, it wasn't really that big of a deal. So at any day, you can kind of find them lying to you, or find them obfuscating or making things really weird at the end of, at the backside of things. Anyways, I wanted to go ahead and put that out there and just remind you that there was once upon a time, when you could actually go ahead and, hear the news, and it sounded like if you invest in the Xbox ecosystem, you've made the biggest mistake in your life. Yeah, but now, where's that narrative? Anybody who makes that narrative will basically be seen as a joke. And you know what's crazy is they made these claims in light of knowing that these games, majority of them were coming to the Game Pass ecosystem and Xbox. Did you guys know that? It's not like they made these claims and they didn't know these things were coming. They knew, yet they still hammered down on these claims. Talk to me in the comment section. Thanks for watching the video. Peace out.